In this segment, I'm going to introduce cuisenaire rods or cuisenaire rods, depending on your pronunciation. And they are a series of blocks of different colors and different lengths that you can get to work on a variety of mathematical concepts, starting with just attributes, language, addition, subtraction, multiplication, division, area. There's a plethora of things you can do with them, and so I'm going to do a series of videos talking about cuisenaire rods, and this will be our introduction one. And these are what they look like. You can make them or get them out of plastic, or you can get them out of wood. I would suggest getting the wood because the colors are a little bit more consistent. I don't like the feel of the plastic ones. They're kind of sticky. Plus, a lot of the plastic ones have individual lines or marks on them indicating the ones of everything, and I think that takes away some of the richness of them. So I would order the wooden ones. And like any manipulative, you have to let students play with them. And so if you're working with introducing this at the primary level, I would just let them build things and let them play and let them stack them and let them put them in different shapes and order. And I'll talk about some activities we can do that how the play will actually have some good mathematical activities with them as well. What we're going to be doing, and when you read books such as the Supersource Cuisenaire Rod books from ETA, you have them at the K to 2 and the 3 to 4 level. They often indicate them using letters, and so the letters are for the colors. So W for white, R for red, G for the light green, P for the purple, Y for the yellow, D for the dark green, and then all these ones start with B, so we end up with the last letters, K for black, N for brown, E for blue, and O for orange. One of the first things that students will probably do or try to do with them when they see that they all have different lengths is they tend to build this staircase with them. And I want to point out that the staircase is one item away from the next one. So there's one to the next one. Here's one more, gets us to the next one. One more gets us to the next one. And so they tend to build this staircase, as we can see, that everything is one away from the next one. And so that's going to lead us to our counting by ones and counting up kind of idea. The thing I find powerful about these cuisenaire rods is you can do an awful lot of math without ever having to use any numbers. You can just use the colors and the size of the numbers of the colors to indicate some mathematical concepts. So for example, I'll do something next. For example, using a document camera or something, you could take these three rods, pink, a purple, a green, and a purple, and tell the students, okay, what I'd like you to do is take the same three shapes or the same three rods and align them in some way that's alike and different, and then have them play around with that, and then have a conversation about how are they alike, how are they different, how are they same, how are they different, those kind of conversations. Having students explain their shapes is the pink above the green? Is it beside the green? Is it below the green? Is it to the left of the green? Is it to the right of the green? Is it standing up? Is it lying down? All those kinds of orientation kinds of language is excellent language to be discussing and using, and it brings out some very rich language discussion and some terminology that you can use at a very early grade, even as low as kindergarten. You can use the blocks to talk about a pattern and talking about discussions of patterns and shapes. You can make what's called a train or a pattern, and you could have one student make a pattern and then have to describe it to another student so that they make the same pattern or the same train. So they'd have to say a green one laid flat. You could use the words horizontal if you want to get into those words, depending on what grade you're working with. So we have a green one, and then a yellow one, and then a purple one, and then a white one, having them laying down flat from left to right. You can have discussions around trains or patterns. You could use these as blocks to help with a pattern discussion. Is this a pattern? Is there a repeating to the pattern? So we've got green, green, pink. Green, green, what would be the next color that you would expect? And you can have all the rich discussion from kindergarten class all the way up to a higher grade and talk about predicting what's going to be the 20th item or the 30th item or the 50th or the 25th item. You could even start just going and you can do your A-B patterns. except instead of an AB, you're going to use our colors. And so we have our green, pink, green, pink, green, pink patterns, or ABBs or BBAs, or whatever way you want to describe them. You can use these for your patterns and your pattern descriptions. You could just have them build stuff like this or any other shape, and then have them describe it. See if they can describe it so another student can build the same thing. In a slightly older grade, you might say, okay, how many white blocks would it take to cover all of this? So they can talk about putting the white blocks over top of them and finding out, well, in essence, what they're finding out is the surface area. But you can have those kinds of things. You can talk about an estimation and those kinds of discussions and descriptions. So there's lots of things you can do without having to have a lot of numbers. If you're trying to find how many white blocks there are, then you'd have your counting, and you can start doing some counting activities with them. Counting things could be as simple as, okay, well, how many whites does it take to make a green? And have them line them up, and they can do their counting. 1, 2, 3. And with play, kids will figure how long each one is anyway, quite quickly, assuming that they know how to count. But you can use these to help you learn how to count. And then you say, okay, well, will this one be more than 3 or less than 3? And because it's a smaller size, you're hoping to look that it's going to be, we started off with the green. So is the pink going to be more or less than the green? How much more? 1 more? How much is the pink going to be worth? You could have all those discussions as well. So it's very rich in just getting the numbers, counting on, counting up, those kinds of ideas. So lots of introductory kinds of things we can do. In the next segment, I'll do even more, and we'll continue.